I wanted to do a little mini review of our Samsung Chef Collection induction range here. We've had it a couple, 3 years, and I kind of got into the idea of induction because at its core I am a lazy man, and I kind of hate cleaning the stove. And so the idea of a solid glass worktop really appealed to me, but a friend of mine had just a normal, whatever you call it, the resistive heating element sort of glass top, and you know, he was talking about how he'd have to scrape off the burnt on stuff with the razor because the cooktop still gets super hot in that situation. You know, there are basically regular elements in it, and they heat the cooktop and heat the pan. It's like an electric range. Even worse so, because an electric range, your coils don't really collect food as much as like a glass top. Everything that goes on there, spills on there, doesn't go into the pan underneath. So, you know, I didn't love that idea as far as cleaning. It sounded like that would make it almost worse. Well, not worse, but certainly no better. It seemed like a pain in the ass. So I thought, hey, induction, you know, the cooktop probably doesn't get as hot. And that's true, it doesn't get anywhere near as hot. And so that's how I got into the idea. And, you know, my wife was very interested in gas. And so I told her, you know, why don't we try getting the induction, and if you don't like it, if you'd still prefer gas, we'll get a gas range. Because we have gas. Actually, we have gas ring right underneath here in the crawl space, so it wouldn't have been that big a deal to add gas. But in the end, I think she really likes it as well. But one thing is, she doesn't like it too hot. She prefers it cool, and you know, gas range throws out all this other heat into the kitchen. This stays rather cool. I mean, it's probably cooler than a regular, you know, resistive heating element stove. Definitely cooler than gas. It is super fast, and just love it. It's got the divided dual oven, and then you can take it out and make it into a single big oven. Actually, I like that quite a bit. It does have a warming drawer down at the bottom, and I don't use that a ton, but I have used that for like smoking. Once I've taken off the smoke, I've put it in there before wrapped in foil, and I think at the highest setting it's 200 degrees, 200 and something degrees, 230 maybe, 220. And so it's right in that area where you know, let a smoked roast sit afterwards. That works surprisingly well, although it is pretty easy to turn on by accident just by leaning against it. Actually, yesterday I came home and found that it had been on for probably 5 hours. Somebody was in here and accidentally touched it and didn't notice. That's probably the biggest downside. The other one is I can never remember which one's front and back, and I always have to look, and probably 10% of the time I turn on the wrong one anyway. This one over here I know. This is my favorite burner, which everyone has one, admit it. But I always know that one's this one over here. So, yeah, the cooktop stays cool. It's fast. It responds fast to heating, fast to cooling. I'm super happy with it. It was a little on the pricey side. I would say it's worth it. So let's do a little experiment. I'll have 2 cups. You may be able to hear that noise. It makes kind of a, maybe a little bit of a, electric motor running noise. There's also a fan that runs. Some people find that very objectionable. I don't really mind it, but you definitely can't hear it. It is not a quiet stove. It's not loud, but it's also, when I was reading reviews, some people were quite unhappy with that. So it boils pretty quickly, and then how quickly does it respond to turning off? It goes off. So pretty fast. Paper towel didn't scorch. Does it get hot? Yeah, it gets a little warm. 100 and some degrees, 120 I think is as high as it went. I mean, it's warm to the touch. It's not going to scald you. If you run for, if you cook something for 30 minutes, it's going to get hot and uncomfortable to touch. It's never gotten, that I've seen, so hot that you couldn't put your hand on it. I mean, you'd want to take it off, but I guess over here it's a tiny, well, probably because I've been soaking out the heat, but it doesn't get that hot. It's nice from a safety perspective, although on the other hand, another downside I will say, you have a pot on here, and you're cooking to beat the band on it, and you take it off, well, the heat will turn off here, so you can take a pot off and go and do something, wash it, or mix up something here if you need to. Drain pasta, I guess, is the big one. And then, if you dump this out and you set the pot back on here and go off and do something else, it wasn't on until you set the pot back on here. And it'll time out after a minute, maybe, if you pull it off after a minute. But I've had the kids once go and drain the mac and cheese and then come and put it back on here. The pot's running super hot. That is a problem. So I always try to get the kids to, before you take the kettle off, turn the burner off, then take the kettle off. The kettle is one of the problems with that, because it'll be whistling. They'll just pull it off, they'll pour their tea with the thing open. They don't ever leave the thing closed, so then they'll set back down with it open. Now it's not going to whistle. It's sitting there boiling. That's a tiny problem. Oh, and this paper towel thing, part of that's just demonstration, but I've heard some people will lay down paper towels so that overflow goes into the paper towel and it makes cleanup easier. Cast iron works great on it. Cast iron works super great on it. We did have to buy some certain pots specifically for this. Yeah, we had a set of pans that did not work with it. We bought a couple relatively inexpensive non-stick, and we got a couple, we got one, my wife got me this stainless pan. That's actually what I prefer to cook in, except for eggs, and that works super good. I love the stainless steel on here because I can just put it on super power. I don't have to worry about destroying the finish. I like to cook hot and fast, just like in the bedroom. And so the stainless works better for me because I'll crank it up to 9, up to power, and with The non-stick, that just goes into damaging it. But what else do we have? My wife had this, she's 10 plus year old pressure cooker, and we got an Instant Pot and liked it, but I really, it's kind of slow getting up to heat, especially when you fill it up to the brim, which I'll often make meals for a few days. Her regular pressure cooker works great on this, so we didn't have to buy a different one. Although the Instant Pot vessel won't work on this at all. Yeah, hard to pick out any deal breakers for sure. There are a few things I would have done slightly different. My son will often lock it if we've accidentally hit something, and then you can't open the oven. And just hitting it in the right place seems to be a problem for me. Yeah, so that's it. Love it. The Samsung Chef Collection. There aren't a lot of inductive ranges. I was pretty limited in choice, but love this one. The oven works great. It's convection. Thanks for watching.